In a distant corner of the universe, the planet Valdra was home to an advanced alien race known as the Zorvans. For centuries, they had studied countless species across the galaxies, observing their habits, strengths, and weaknesses. They had seen species that thrived in the harshest deserts, others that could survive extreme cold, and a few even able to live without oxygen. But there was one thing the Zorvans had never encountered before: a species that could survive water. The Zorvans were a highly intelligent species with technology far beyond what humans could imagine. They had mastered the art of space travel, and their ships could cross galaxies in a matter of days. They had surveyed Earth from a distance, curious about the strange creatures that inhabited it, humans. They had watched humans from afar for years, cataloging their behaviors, studying their biology, and noting their weaknesses. One of the most intriguing weaknesses the Zorvans had observed was the way humans reacted to water. From their research, they concluded that water was a deadly substance to humans. Water, they had learned, could drown humans, cause them to freeze, or lead to various illnesses. It was a liquid that seemed to weaken and destroy them in so many ways. So when the Zorvans decided it was time to make contact with humanity, they did so with a plan in mind. They landed their massive ship just outside of a major city on Earth, their ship cloaked and invisible to human eyes. Their goal was simple. They would observe the humans in their natural environment, then bring them to their knees by unleashing water upon them. The Zorvans had no idea just how wrong their assumption was. The first contact came on a cold morning. The Zorvans deployed their first experiment. They used advanced technology to manipulate the weather, creating a massive storm that flooded the streets. The rain came pouring down in torrents, the water rising rapidly, submerging cars, buildings, and streets. The Zorvans observed from above, expecting the humans to panic and perish. What they saw instead was astonishing. The humans did panic, but not in the way the Zorvans had anticipated. Instead of drowning, freezing, or collapsing under the pressure of the water, humans fought back. They grabbed their loved ones, lifted them to safety, and worked together to move the water out of their homes. Emergency services sprang into action, rescuing people from danger and clearing debris. The Zorvans watched in disbelief as humans not only survived but thrived in the chaos caused by their storm. One Zorvan commander, Zorak, was particularly perplexed. How was this possible? He muttered to himself. These creatures should be dying by the hundreds. Zorak's team continued to monitor the situation, and they were stunned to witness the resilience of humans. They didn't just survive, they adapted. Where other species might have succumbed to panic or despair, humans showed an extraordinary ability to persevere in the face of overwhelming adversity. They didn't simply accept the water as a threat. They learned to fight it, to control it, and to rise above it. As the storm continued, Zorak decided to take a more direct approach. He ordered his ship to release a massive flood, covering entire neighborhoods in water, hoping this would be the final blow to humanity. The water surged higher and higher, drowning entire sections of the city. But again, humans did something the Zorvans hadn't expected. The floodwaters, though dangerous, did not defeat them. Instead of giving up, humans began to innovate. They used boats, constructed makeshift rafts, and created barriers to hold back the water. The city's people worked in unison, showing an incredible level of coordination. Those who had access to technology used it to pump water out, while others focused on helping those in need. The Zorvans were beginning to realize that they had underestimated humanity. They had thought that by using water, something they believed to be universally lethal, they could break humanity's spirit. But instead, water had become a catalyst for human ingenuity, for strength in the face of seemingly impossible odds. Zorak turned to his lieutenant, Brix, and asked, "What are we missing? What is it about them that makes them so resilient?" Brix, who had been studying Earth for years, answered with quiet awe. "It's not just their bodies that make them resistant. It's their minds, their will to survive. They don't give up, even in the worst circumstances. They don't let anything defeat them, not even water." Zorak processed the information, the realization dawning on him. Humans were not just physically resilient. They had a mental and emotional strength that allowed them to push beyond their limits. It was as if they could face any challenge, no matter how overwhelming, and find a way to adapt. As the Zorvans watched, something even more remarkable happened. The humans began to rebuild. They didn't wait for someone else to save them. They took action themselves. Communities came together to repair homes, to restore order, and to help each other. They did this with a sense of determination and unity that was almost impossible for the Zorvans to comprehend. Zorak felt a strange sensation stirring within him, a mix of admiration and awe. For the first time in their long history, the Zorvans were encountering a species that was not easily broken. Humans had proven to be far stronger than they had imagined, not because of their physical resistance to water, but because of their unwavering will to survive and adapt. Before Zorak could give further orders, his communications console beeped. It was a message from the Supreme Council of Zorvans. They had been watching the situation unfold, and their verdict was clear. Zorak, the message began. It seems we have greatly underestimated the humans. We are calling off the operation. This species is too resilient for us to manipulate. It is not the water that makes them vulnerable. It is their drive to overcome any challenge, no matter what. Zorak nodded, his thoughts still racing. Understood. The humans have surprised us. They are a species worth respecting. As the Zorvans withdrew, their ships disappearing into the vastness of space, they left behind a planet that had faced their worst, only to emerge stronger than ever. The humans, unbroken by the water, would continue to thrive and push forward. The Zorvans, for the first time in centuries, had learned that there was no force in the universe strong enough to break humanity's spirit. In the end, it was not water that was the threat, but the humans themselves. And the Zorvans, for all their power, had learned that there was no enemy more formidable than a species that refused to be defeated. The end.